Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast. And we've got play props here on a Wednesday with 9 games in the NBA to choose from. Bunch of teams on a back-to-back. So we are waiting on a bit of those injury reports, but still got plenty of value to bring you here with these play props. Also got best bets up in a separate video, as we do each and every weekday. So make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. Also want you to head to thelines.com, head to that NBA tab, scroll down, and use that prop finder tool that we have under there to make sure that you are seeing all the odds available to you from these books and getting the best juice on these bets you're making. We are 6-2 the last 2 nights here in both 3-1 play props, 3-1 best bets from Thursday into today as well. So let's keep it going here, Nate, with your first NBA play prop for tonight.
CJ McCollum over 26.5 points and assists. You can get, juicy plus money for him to get 6 assists, but I think you got to combo this for safety against an Orlando team that generally just doesn't give up a ton of dimes. But I talk about this in best bets. Like, they just have not played any quality opponents, certainly not on the road in the last couple months. The only guys they played post All-Star break, Brunson got him for 26 points in like 26 minutes in a blowout. DJM, Josh's man crush, 25, 9, and 11. And Darius Garland, 18 and 10. So, they talented point guards are able to get this number for sure in terms of the assists. And CJ is now thrust into that role as like the main cog in the backcourt here. Huge usage spike since Brandon Ingram got injured, which was during this last matchup. And CJ was a pretty efficient 18 points on 50% shooting, very much lower usage against Orlando. In the 6 since BI's injury, he's averaging 30 points and assists over in 5 straight prior to that last one against Phoenix. His minutes per game is up to 28% usage. On the season, he's now averaging 22.8, 5.6 dimes without BI. And he didn't even shoot well in these last 4. He still is going over. He's playing just elite defenses. If you catch the Bucks on a good day, they're elite. But Thunder, Celtics, Bucks, like these are tough matchups, and so is Orlando. But like I'm saying, like they're a little bit vulnerable to these kind of shifty guards who can create their own shot, who can, you kind of negate their oversized wings, right? With their craftiness, with their ability, and their veteran savvy, and that's what CJ has. That's why, he was actually the number 1 option in 2 versus Orlando with no BI or Zion, and he averaged 35 points and assists on 35% usage in those matchups. So now in a more central role, I think he can get over this.
Yeah, I dig it. I think that there's going to be a little bit more pace than normal for these two teams. I'm not saying 209.5 is too high necessarily, but or too low rather. I do actually think it's a little bit low, to be honest, because the way that these two teams have been playing is a little bit faster than they normally were. Not exactly like speed demons here, but for CJ, I think this is where you attack this Magic squad on the road. Interestingly, I was mentioning in the best bets that I don't like the fact that this Magic team has just sort of let Markelle Fultz fall along by the wayside and not get any more time. Not only was he good for their offense, he was especially good for their perimeter defense, which had been improved a ton in terms of limiting point guards, limiting above the break stuff. Like that was him. Now, Jalen Suggs has been awesome all season long. He might be the matchup in this game. It's going to be a little bit difficult to understand because last game, there was BI was in there and he shifted everything for this Magic defense. But for CJ, without Markelle Fultz in there, even if he gets Jalen Suggs, they're running that pick and roll up top for him. And without Markelle Fultz, this defense has been 5 points per 100 worse in it's a 39 to 36 split in terms of playing 36 games with him, 39 without him. His on-off stuff is good. He's down to about 12 minutes per game over his last 10 games. So, without him in there, I think stuff's gonna be more available for the guy playing up top for the Pellies, which will be CJ. But sticking in this game, I'm also going to take an over in a very low-scoring game, but I'm going rebounds and assists for Paolo Banchero, who got his second triple-double of his career, as you mentioned in the other video, against this Pellies team last time out, right? And I'm still banking on that. And it's in part because Markelle Fultz is out that we see Paolo Banchero being the ball handler in their pick-and-roll offense whenever they've got the ball. He's doing it way more than anybody else. Markelle Fultz was up there with him as well. Franz obviously is going to be second in terms of that, but the Pellies are very good at limiting points to the ball handler in the pick and roll. They really pressure that dude up top at the top of the key. That's why they've actually limited teams to the worst field goal percentage from above the break threes on the season. And like I said, basically the best team against the pick and roll ball handler in terms of limiting his points, not necessarily his assists. And we saw Paolo have 19 potential assists last game against his team on 11 assists. He's been getting this number pretty consistently in the rebounds and assist number here when he plays teams that are good at limiting points, right? When he's able to get his shot off with relative ease from anywhere from the 3-point line and in, then he's going to be taking a lot more shots. But that was not the case. It took him a while to get it going in last game with the way that BI was helping out and guarding him. At this point, though, like the assists are going to be there if he's got Herb Jones on him or if he's got Trey Murphy on him, who should be the two dudes predominantly guarding him. Both of them, neither of them are going to worry about anybody else, and people are going to be coming to double Paolo off of this, which is why they give up more assists. They force the ball out of his hands. Like he's going to be the dude in the PNR. As far as his rebounds go, he had 13 rebound chances last game, 10 boards against them, but I still fully expect him to be able to do that with Wendell Carter Jr. busy battling with Jonas Valanciunas, that we still have the ability for Paolo to come in. He didn't really have very many contested rebounds in this last game against the Pellies, which tells me that Joe Val was doing the bulk of the boxing out. And then, he walked in and had like a 56% contested rebound percentage. And he didn't even really have that many contested rebounds, like I said. So a lot of this was just him being able to stand in the right spot at the right time. If the Pellies do continue to shoot a good amount of shots, and he is standing right around that free throw line where he's normally playing defense, then you're talking about the bounce coming pretty close to where he's at. Average rebound distance last game of about 6.5 feet, just right around, just inside the free throw line, essentially. So I think he'll be in line for most of that stuff as well. The Pellies are allowing the 6th most rebounds per game to his rebound profile and to, I guess, what you'd call power forwards as well, with Zion being an average rebounder for somebody his size and jumping ability. So yeah, I think Paolo's good to get the RA in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where the Pelicans have to kind of shore up their defensive scheme, right? Where they were trying to blitz Paolo too much, prevent him from scoring, and it let everybody else get going for Orlando. But I think they'll make some adjustments, and they'll probably force him into some turnovers, which, to me, I mean, you're talking about minus 130 here for the rebounds assists because it seems very likely. I kind of like the plus money for him to get 4 turnovers, which he's done in 4 straight road games. And really most of the road games against quality opponents all year. Again, going back to that, Orlando just has not had a tough schedule for the most part. But when he faces these teams, especially lately when he's become Point Paolo, they're like, all right, like we can make this second year guy make a few mistakes. Like he's still going to get his, but the ball's in his hands way too much, is what Josh's saying. Like Markelle Fultz out there would take a little bit of that pressure off him. And the Pelicans are really good forcing turnovers with Herb Jones and company. So I'm with that just in terms of the volume. Yeah.
Good look.
All right, Jared Allen under on a back-to-back. We haven't done this in a while, and good thing I steered away from it because he went under his first 6 back-to-backs this season. We're talking 28.5 PRA is the line. Under in the first 6, and then 3 of his last 4 he's actually gotten over. But 2 of those were without Evan Mobley and or Donovan Mitchell. One of those was after playing just 22 minutes against Miami. So last night he played, and it was against Charlotte on the back-to-back. Last night he played 33 minutes. Donovan Mitchell sat. Allen had a pretty high usage rate, trying to pick up some of that slack. Now he faces Phoenix, who he actually played on a back-to-back and got 38 minutes and still went under this recently on just 13% usage. And so to me, this is actually a 2-part bet that I think Evan Mobley at 14.5 points is way too low. I think Mobley is going to be way more involved in the offense in this matchup because, like, why are you attacking Yusuf Nurkic when you can have Mobley go right at Kevin Durant or whoever else the Suns are going to throw on the wing? It's just they're just not particularly good guarding power forwards, and Mobley's actually kind of cooking now. He's been back for 6, averaging about 18, but his last 3, I mean, he's been around 20 points a game. So this just seemed like a really low number that stuck out to me. And I mean, without Mobley, Jarrett goes down to 27 PRA versus 32 without him. I mean, his rebounds are 3 higher per game, so that's a huge difference. He also drops about 2.5 points per game when Donovan Mitchell plays. Donnie, it seemed like, just sat for rest last night, right? I mean, he's almost certainly going to be back for this one. In general, on back-to-backs for Allen, under 15 points, 8.5 rebounds, so 26 PRA. And I mean, Phoenix, yeah, with Nurkic down there, number 3 rebounding percentage in home games since the All-Star break. Like, they're giving up the 4th fewest rebounds to centers and slightly above average limiting assists despite facing the Joker twice. So I'm not really worried about Allen having a spike assist game, which he just had last night. Again, I think the ball will be in Evan Mobley's hands a lot more.
Seems to make sense. I haven't seen anything that would indicate like Evan Mobley is going to get rest down the stretch here as they gear up for the playoffs. Like, also this team is I think tied right now for the 2 seed with the Bucks after that loss to the Wizards last night. So a 2 seed could work well in their favor to play this Bucks team on the road, who has looked much worse there than at home. I do see them coming and playing, but this Phoenix team, man, like, yeah, they've been. They've been incredible. Honestly, like, it's weird that they've been as bad in terms of they should have. I feel like they should have won a lot more, to be honest with you, than they have as of late. Their defense has been much better, especially down low. Like, where did they get such a good down low defense from when I don't have that much respect for Yusuf Nurkic's rebounding? How are they limiting power forwards and centers when in reality they don't really have one? Unless you count KD playing banger ball down low, it's wild to me. So I think it's a good look. I know you've been trying to fade Jared Allen on these back-to-backs consistently, and now you finally have a situation tailor-made for that with a good interior defense and Evan Mobley looking to continue to get the bulk of the usage, plus Donovan Mitchell coming back. So just to summarize all your key points there, I fully agree with them. Let me look at the final bet here, which is D'Lo, and we both know I'd be looking at D'Lo if LeBron was out. We both think he's going to be in. So instead of just taking him to get a ton of assists and then laddering that up to about 10, I'm going to just take the points and assists combined at over 23.5 here. And I'm looking at the idea that I don't have to choose between these two. I do think he's good for about 5 assists to 6 assists, and I think the points are just as good, if not better, of a bet. I think they're better of a bet than the assists, but I like adding the assists in there because of the idea that maybe LeBron doesn't get as many minutes if this becomes a blowout. I could see this being a thing where the Lakers try to get this done in the first half and be able to sit their guys once more in the fourth quarter with this 12.5-point spread the way it is. We'll see how feisty these Wizards are in this one without a center or even a true power forward, to be honest. I don't know what they're going to do down low with AD. They're not going to have very much fun. But I think D'Lo is sort of the blowout proof player in this one because they like to keep him on the floor in these situations where he's the quote unquote adult in the room. And I never thought that I would say that about D'Angelo Russell. If you remember how his career started and all the stuff with Nick Young, calling him the adult in the room is wild. In fact, before this season, I would never have called him that. And somehow this season, he's really turned into that point guard for them. He's averaging 33 minutes a game on no rest right now. And 8 of those 12 games he's played with LeBron James on these no-rest situations. But LeBron is definitely in a bit more of a defer mode when it comes to playing alongside D'Lo on no rest. In those 8 games with LBJ, he's averaging 20 points per game and 6 dimes, getting you comfortably over the points and assists here at 23.5. That also includes 26 a game, and he also gets 26 combined points and assists when LeBron is off. Those splits change a little bit. He goes into more of a facilitator when LeBron is out, turns into more of a shooter when LeBron is in. And he's at about 33 minutes per game in these spots, 15 field goal attempts per game as well. So to get 18 points on 15 field goals when like 6 or 7 of those shots are coming from 3 for D'Lo, and he's averaging almost 4 free throw attempts per game as well. I like when I can bank on him getting a few easy buckets. The potential assists are still up at about 11 per game, more than that when LeBron is in there on these no rest situations. So we've seen him just sort of be the dude that gets these minutes in these situations as either a microwave scorer without LeBron on the floor or the dude who's running the pick and roll absolutely perfectly with AD. Washington, like, what are they good at on defense? It would take me way less time to tell you what they're good at than what they're not good at. Historically bad defense, historically bad home defense, maybe the worst home defense we've ever seen in the NBA at like 126.5 points per game. I'll go back at Basketball Reference and try to verify that for you guys for next show. But I'm feeling very good about D'Lo having a high usage in this game and getting up, like I said, about 15 to 16 shots to get us there.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at this schedule here for a team like the Lakers, too, and what's coming up. They do get 2 days rest here, but then 3 and 4 nights against Cavs, Wolves, Warriors, all at home. Like, LeBron is looking at that and thinking about where to pick his spots. Like, he is not going to be going hard against the Washington Wizards, even though they did push the Lakers to overtime in their last back-to-back set against them. But, yeah, you talked about the spot here with the over in terms of, like, the Wizards. They got their win last night against the Bucks. Like, they're just absolutely dreadful in this spot. 0-12 on back-to-backs, just giving it up all over the place. So no problem taking an over for the Lake Show.
Yeah, I think we should probably be betting on the Lakers to pull this one out and cover, to be honest with you. So we'll see how it goes. I do think that the Wizards come along for the ride enough with super fast pace in this game. So we'll take some overs in that one. But that is all the time that we have for you in Play Props. Continue to follow along. Subscribe to that page if you would. We also have best bets up today, as we do each and every weekday this season and into the postseason. And until we see you next, happy betting.